All right, guys, thanks so much for waiting patiently with me. We will go ahead and get started to today's training. It is for district managers only. So if you are not a district manager, you can feel free to hop off this call. This is for district managers and principals as we go to one of our little bit of higher level training for the DMs to elevate their sales skills and really take their doors to that next level. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So before we jump in, just kind of a reminder from last month's call, 2021 is the year of the DM. So how are we going to do this? We'll have DM calls monthly or bi-monthly. We want to make sure that you guys are getting more training and more knowledge. We want to make sure that you guys have staff meetings standardized. So if you're a DM, you should be having staff meetings with your team recommended every single week. You want to have a consistency, a who, what, when, where for each of your calls so your reps know when to hop on. For example, this call is I do a training call for DCI every Monday at noon. The topics vary, but it's locked in. Every Monday, 12 o'clock Central Time, there's going to be a training call and something for you guys to hop on. Want to make sure you guys have metrics and goals that are standardized so it doesn't vary from door to door. They know what they need to hit. Own the mile, that's what OTM stands for. Own the mile strategies are also standardized as people are getting more vaccinated. It's time to get back out there in your communities and having more events. And then providing feedback loop of what's discussed and making sure you have everything documented for your reps. All right, so let's start off right now with inventory updates. So on inventory updates right now, the LG K22, Stylo 6, and Samsung Galaxy A21, those are on allocation for our branded doors. It's based on your January 3MR for 70% and above for productivity. So if you guys log into the DCI portal, you should be able to see what is available to you or have that information emailed to you as well. Any questions, you can reach out to your DCI account manager. They can tell you exactly what you have lined up for this week. The Motorola G Fast, it is currently on limit 3. That is a daily limit, so you can order 3 of those per day. It will be end of life soon, but that's the phone that's out there and available for you guys to take advantage of. The Moto G Power and Moto G Stylus are on allocation to our BRs, again, based on that January 3MR productivity. Samsung Galaxy A12, you guys can get a limit of 20 of those, and that limit is 20 per day. So when you talk about inventory constraints and there's some phones we can't get, you can get that A12. It's a fantastic deal, free on port. So order those up, guys. I'm telling you, take advantage of that phone. And then Samsung Galaxy A51, if you haven't ordered your limits on those, get those as well. Those are limit 3 per day. That is a daily limit. If you're looking at this slide, if you see something that says allocated, that means it's allocated for the week. If it's just a limit, that is a daily limit where you can get them every day until you kind of run out of stock. So I want to make sure you guys know what is available to you. I know there's been a lot of questions and a little bit of heartburn out there for the chats, the phones available based on the chipset issues that's going on around the world. So let's talk inventory concerns. So what are you guys hearing in your doors from your reps and how are you reacting? So let me ask this as a question. For you guys on this call, what are you hearing about inventory? What are your frustrations? And what are you talking to your salespeople about?
Are we just talking inventory in general?
Yep.
Or just devices?
Either way, we can go inventory in general and devices.
Okay, so one thing that really knocks my socks is the fact that we don't get, or I guess we get devices before we get the accessories for these devices.
Okay.
So that's a big problem. Like, for example, the Moto G Stylus. We had that phone for about a week and a half before we actually got accessories for the device. And it's a pretty popular device, especially here at this location, at Meyer. And I wasn't able to sell accessories with that device. So that's a problem.
That's great feedback. I didn't have this incorporated in my deck, but that is fantastic feedback. Okay, very good. So I'll take that and I will escalate that up. But what about like on phones you don't have? So when your team's talking about, I want this one and I can't get it, how are you reacting to those? Because I'm sure you're getting complaints from your reps like, oh, why can't we get this device? How are you reacting to that in your door?
Well, DCI only supplies a certain amount of devices, correct? Like a certain, I mean, you guys are allotted like a certain, like,
Yep.
colors and certain sizes of devices, right? I mean, you don't carry everything. So it's kind of, at that point, it's just kind of out of our hands. So we kind of have to just work with what we got, you know?
Yeah, and so just so you're aware, it's not just like a DCI thing. So this is a global thing. It's all master rates. So DCI is a master rating or DDP. It's all DDPs. It's all carriers. So these shortages aren't just affecting us; they're affecting everybody. So that's why I put a couple articles on here. You guys can look up, kind of theguardian.com or androidauthority.com. It's great resources to look and see what's going on because this is a global issue. It affects not only phones but cars. And a couple weeks ago I heard, that the crash in the Suez Canal slowed things down. It's way bigger than that. This is going to be something we're going to be dealing with. So we need to be proactive in how we're talking to our reps about it. Kind of getting as much information as possible because it's kind of wireless industry wide. Everyone across the board is having these same challenges. So as DMs, you guys need to make sure you are able to shift that focus to, hey, the best device to sell is what's in stock, right? So if you look at some of these articles, MSN.com just had an article saying the chip shortage could last, to the end of the year 2022 as demand far outstrips the supply. So this is from Intel. So we're going to have a little bit of challenges to not have kind of the inventory we've had to flush in the past. And you add on to that, LG just completely abandoning the game. So we need to make sure we are selling what's in stock, give that spin, or not the spin, give the truth, just give the explanation to your reps so they can properly talk to customers about this, and that you guys need to know what do you have in inventory at the start of your day, what are you going to pitch to your reps, and what are you going to have your reps pitch to your customers? Because every customer walking in the door is going to look at you guys as the experts. So they're going to go to your recommendation. So with that in mind, know that this isn't going to be a 1 week fix. We need to know, keep on top of what inventory is available, what you have in stock, and sell what's available, because that's how we are going to get through this chip shortage, which again affects every wireless carrier across the board.
So this may be a dumb question, but can I ask it real quick?
Yep.
So this obviously isn't just affecting store level, like actual locations, correct? It's also going to be affecting like online sales as well.
Yeah, everybody.
Right.
Everybody. It's going to affect online. It's going to affect web. It's going to affect stores. It's going to affect Metros, Cricket, Boost, everybody.
Correct. That's actually is true. It's already affecting our competitors like Metro as well. After what I found out over the weekend, that's exactly the same story with them. Allocations, constraints, shortages, etc., etc.
So this also affects like insurance as well, right? You got to think about that too.
For sure.
That's a great point. I didn't even think of that angle. Yeah. So I guess maybe we can get Sana on a future call with us and see what their plans are. But if the chipset affects everybody, yeah, it would affect your insurance ones as well. But there's not been any issues at this time. Typically on insurance, let's say phone went end of the life and a customer makes an insurance claim on it, they will get them a similar or updated model from what they have to still fulfill that insurance claim. So I'm sure it's going to be the same. But that's a great question again, and I'll have Sana on to kind of clarify that in a future call. All right, any other questions on inventory? So let me just go back. So if I'm giving you guys recommendations on what to order right now, K51s, tons of them in stock, no limits. So if you guys are placing your orders for this week, I would order a bunch of K51s. Moto E's, another free phone, $10 add-a-line phone. Order a bunch of those as well. There's no limits on that one. The A12, you can get 20 per day. That's a $25 add-a-line and free for port-in. So we have some bangers out there that you guys need to take advantage of and really push. The A51, that one is again limit 3. That is a daily limit, so I'd order up on those. The iPhone SE, those are available for everybody. And then the iPhone 11 64 gigs, the iPhone 12 minis, the iPhone 12 64 gig, the iPhone 12, those are all completely available. The iPhone 12 Pro 128 gig is limit 1 per day for 4.0s. So you can order one of those as well. And then the renewed iPhone 8s are completely available as well. And we do have an unlocked iPhone X Silver 64 gig. That's a limit 3 per day for you guys also. So those would be the phones I would focus on, as well as a CoolPad Legacy Brisa if you want another one in there. That is also free on port. All right, so now next I will kind of talk a little bit about how to manage the people in your store. So as DMs on this call, this is very important because you guys see there's a pretty much high turnover or medium to high turnover in the wireless industry. So you're always going to be getting new people on to manage. When you get those people that are really great, they're going to stick around and they're going to be a big help. But while you're building your full sales staff, you have to know what makes each rep tick. So different people are going to be motivated by different factors. Now, those factors can include money. For me, that's a big one for me, is I'm highly motivated by sales and incentives. I love contests. I love commissions. I love goals. Anything that's going to earn extra money for me, that's a big thing that makes me tick. Other people, it's opportunity. So how success can lead to advancement. And this was definitely me as well. It was like when I started, I was like, I want to grow. I started my career as a frontline sales rep, just like everyone in your doors. Went from sales rep to manager, manager to regional manager to the corporate side, and so on and so on. But opportunity was always a big motivator for me as well. So that can motivate what your reps want and what they're looking for in their career. But you have to ask those questions to what really motivates each rep so you can get the most out of them. The next one is teamwork. So this is kind of goes to people like on GroupMe and WhatsApp where, hey, I got my sale on. I'm going to post my sale. I want that glory in front of all the other reps that I'm the first one to get this out, or I sold the most of this device. I won this contest. They want that WhatsApp experience, that GroupMe experience where they're getting that acknowledgement in front of the whole group. Another thing on teamwork, before I move on to the independence piece here, but teamwork too is recognition. So I've had reps that I worked with when I was a DM on the booth side, and the reps like, I just love shout outs and I love being acknowledged for my great work. Like if I do something above and beyond, I love that acknowledgement in front of the group. Not money. And in this rep that I'm thinking of, he wasn't motivated by money. It's like, nah, I'm good on my money. It's just when I get that recognition, this goes a long way. So that, that can make your reps tick. So give them that acknowledgement, give them that certificate, give them something they can put on their wall. That can help. Independence can make reps tick. So that could be, you trust me to open the door by myself. You trust me to close the door. You're giving me special products. You're making me go above and beyond. I'm the one who gets to go do outside sales. I'm the one that gets to go host an event. They're leading their peers in one category or the other. It's making them stand out. Some reps really love that. Visibility, again, going back to what I said about recognition, kind of goes back to the teamwork side. So recognizing that success, giving them approval. And then excellence. So that's your professional development or mentorship. Like, hey, I see a lot in you. I would love to be your mentor and get you to that next level. So you need to understand what makes your rep tick to really motivate them. It could be money, opportunity, teamwork, independence, visibility, excellence. So those are some great factors. You can, when you're having your one-on-ones with reps, and if you haven't had one-on-ones yet, strongly advise you do that. Just pull each rep aside, for 15 minutes each week, kind of go over their performance, give them that one-on-one attention, find out what makes them tick and develop them so that they stay with you and stay with your organization and they become a key cog in what builds your success. All right, so when you come to that, let's talk next about accountability. So accountability is the hardest thing to drive. So how do you guys keep yourself and reps on track? So I just touched on that when I talked about weekly meetings, getting these reps every single week, going over their performance, finding out what makes them tick, but you got to have that sense of accountability. If you're talking to your team and you do maybe one call per month and you're going over your results at the end of the month, it just is not the best way to keep everyone on track. So think about what accountability you hold your reps to in all of your doors. What are you guys doing today? What could you be doing better? Do the reps know the key, sorry, typo there, should be key priorities, not kept priorities. Do the reps know the key priorities of the business? For DMs, for you guys on the call, how are you organizing your time? You should have a schedule about 2 weeks out in advance. And you should be able to share that schedule with your owner saying, hey, from here to this time, I'm going to be at this door. This time to this time, I'm going to be at this door. It seems a lot of things going on, kind of just like, and I get that in the wireless industry, things change and your schedule can change, but it's we don't want to basically fly by the seat of our pants. You want to have that schedule out there. If this is where I'm going to be at this time with this rep, because I know this rep needs help in this area, so I'm dedicating 4 hours here to them or 2 hours here to them. Then I'm moving on to the other store and dedicating my time to this rep. But really getting a hold of your schedule, if you guys have like Outlook or you have Gmail where you can kind of have all that plotted out, you guys are going to see so much more success from this extra organization. Think about when you're planning your schedule. Where are you going? What's the purpose? Why are you going there? And what are you doing while you're there? If you're just going to a door to drop off some money or to make a run to the bank, is that effective use of your time as a DM? No, it's not. You're a DM. Like, you are not ops. You're district manager. You're there to maximize every sale, not just be someone who runs to a bank to get change. All right. So when we talk about, do your reps know the key priorities? What are those key priorities? What are our wildly important business goals for this month? It's activations, 3MR, value-added services, and add lines, right? So we want to make sure you guys are getting as many activations as possible. You drive that 3MR towards 80%. Value-added services, man, we need your help. So DCI, and thank to all of you, DCI is the #1 DDP across all DDPs in the country. We were last month, we're leading again this month. So thanks to everything you guys do. But where are we hurting? Value-added services. Of the 6 DDPs out there and available, DCI is 5th out of 6 when it comes to value-added services. We do great on activations, great on 3MR, great on add lines, but value-added services, like, so that's your protection, that's your international calling. This is a big opportunity. I think previously we had goals around 40% for value-added services. My ask to you guys is let's bump that goal up to 60%. I'm sorry, hold on one second. Let's bump that goal up to 60%. All right. So why do I say that? Well, we've got other DDPs that have all the doors combined nationwide already over 40. So 40 is not a good enough goal. If we set that goal at 60 and your team strives for 60, let's say they come a little short, they hit 50%, and you always want to have a higher goal than your previous month. So if you were at 60, then make it even higher. But if you set that goal for 60, if they fall a little short, they hit 50, you're still going to look like a rock star on the scorecard. So value-added services, my ask to you, change that goal up. Let's try to get to 60%. I know we only have about, 10, 11, 12 days left in this month, but for next month especially, we need to bump that goal up because the other doors with Boost are doing better than what our doors are doing currently. All right, moving on, documentation is the key. So when I talk about documentation, this goes back to scheduling, right? Are the owners keeping you accountable for your schedule and driving profits? Do they know where you're going to be at and why you're there? Are you holding your reps accountable for hitting their goals and their sales, like value-added service and add lines? Are you holding your reps accountable for smile and dial calls? Are you holding reps accountable for the store being merchandised correctly? All these things need to be documented because if you just have a conversation with somebody, it's kind of in one ear, out the other. If you got documentation, you put it in a folder, it stays in the store, they can always kind of go back. Hey, remember back on April 19th, we talked about your protection rate for customers was only at 10% and we needed you to get to 60. Well, it's been a week later, you're still at 10%. You've had no improvement. So you got that documented, and that can be a very constructive conversation. The rep says, oh, I'm going to be all over it. I'll get to 60% next week and make sure we put it on everybody's phone. And same for Smile and Dial. Each rep at your store should have individual Smile and Dial logins. Don't use one store code so that you can go in there and see what reps are making what calls. And when it comes to merchandising correctly, I have something a little bit more in this deck later, but as DMs, the buck kind of stops with you when it comes to your store being merchandised correctly. If a store is not merchandised correctly, I mean, it's upsetting because that's our silent sales maker. That store should be proper. It's not Boost jobs to go in there and put posters up. It's not our job at DCI to put posters up. That is your store employees' jobs. They get everything sent to them. They get the planogram. They need to have that stuff up, and it needs to be correct. So when we talk about documentation and having stuff out there at your doors, this is a form that we showed last month. I put it back on here. I just kind of added one line to the bottom, but it's a great way to really get the most out of each rep and how to document it in an organized fashion. So if you need this deck, just ask your DCI account manager. We can send it to you. You can create this on your own as well, but it just kind of tells you for each rep, you can say, hey, Julie, here's your activations, here's your upgrades, here's your BYOD, here's your add lines. You can do this week to week, and you can add your notes on here's what was good, here's what's not good, your comments for next week on what they're going to work on and improve. Now, the line on the bottom here I added is add your observations to this form. So when you guys are in store with the reps, you should also add your notes. So not just the notes from the conversation, but while I observed you sale, I noticed you only asked 2 qualifying questions. 2 qualifying questions is not enough to get the most out of that customer opportunity. You should be asking 6 or 7. Or I noticed you went right to a free phone. You didn't qualify at all. I noticed you pitched just one line. You didn't even ask if they had additional family members. So you can add your observations to this form to get the most out of those interactions. But I'm telling you, if you do this and you document it and you do it every single week, it's like a report card in school, right? Your reps are going to get better and better and better until they start getting flawless report cards of, hey, they're doing great. Here's your numbers. If they have an area of improvement, here's what you need to keep focusing on. But this is very effective. And as DMs, something you should be using with all of your reps. All right, next I want to talk about a SWOT analysis. Does anyone on this call, have you heard of a SWOT analysis, or do you know what it stands for?
Yeah, we actually had something super similar with Verizon. I believe it was called SWAT though. It was like it's like where it's I'm trying to remember what the acronym actually stands for. It may have not even been called SWOT, but it's like a breakdown of what your opportunities are, where the competition is, and what the competition is offering. Some obstacles that you, as in the location, faces, how to overcome those obstacles, stuff like that. It's like a breakdown analysis of your location.
Yeah. So it's it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you can, as DMs, you can do this for all of your doors, right? So if you think about it, to really shine, when you guys are talking to your owners, you should be able to give a 2-minute SWOT analysis on all of your doors. So Cody would be like, hey, Meyer, the strengths of Meyer are this. The weaknesses are here. Our opportunities are here. Our threats are here. Now, here's where kind of the rubber meets the road. A lot of DMs that are out there, if you go over this, they can give a SWOT analysis. But then when the follow-up and where I want you guys to develop is, how do you solve those issues? How do you solve the weaknesses? How do you solve the opportunities? How do you solve the threats? So you need to find out what they are for sure. Know the SWOT analysis for all of your doors, but now how do you solve those? And how do you get the most out of every single location? How do you solve the weaknesses? How do you fix the opportunities? And how do you get rid of the threats? You want to have an action plan to solve those for all your doors. You can give that to your owner. If you be proactive about this, if your owners are on this call, it's just a DM, and you guys do a SWOT analysis and then say, hey, and here's my ways to fix these issues, you're going to be rock stars, all right? And even if your owners are on this call, this is just so helpful to, as a DM, really own your business, show your value, and show how you're going to make your store succeed. You want to communicate the action plan to your owners. And then for when you find out what are your issues, how can you fix them, make sure you're acting on those lead measures. So again, those are your highest leverage actions or activities to accomplish that goal. So if you talked about, hey, we need to fix our PSA, Things to consider is, how do we increase door swings? Is that smile dial calls? Is this increasing our Facebook posts and advertising? Is this doing more planned events and marketing? How do we close more effective lines based on the traffic we generate? We're going to make an offer every time. We're going to offer ad lines every time. We're going to lead with the 3 for 90 or 3 for 110 family plan. We're going to make sure our stores are prepared and set up with their promotions, and the merchandise is going to be correct every day of the launch. Think through those 5 P's: your preparation, your promotions, your product, your placement, and your positioning. All right. Cody, since you're on, I love this slide last month. Use it again. When it comes to creating a compelling scorecard. I know I'm kind of putting you on a spot here, but I just love this so much last month. I wanted to include this again. You want to talk through how you measured your reps' performance?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing, and I even did this as a store manager before I became a district manager, just to help me figure out how my reps were doing on a daily and monthly basis. What this is just a monthly breakdown of how each individual rep does as far as most of our important KPIs across the board, so I can really pinpoint and accurately coach those who need to be coached. So I'm not wasting time, coaching, Kyra on her conversion or Connor on his conversion. It's essentially just a breakdown of how to accurately and more effectively coach each individual on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's awesome because it shows literally every single rep. So if you're on guys on their phone, not on a computer, it's broken down every single rep at his locations, their activations, their upgrades, their ports, their boost up, their add lines, their conversion rate, the BYOD, the boost shield percentage. So it's a quick snapshot to see what rep needs coaching in what areas. So for me, Cody's one of my DMs, so I get to visit his doors. This makes it really easy if I do a store visit to say, okay, I know this is an opportunity the DM's focused on, and I can focus on this as well because this is where his reps need help in these certain areas. So I just thought this was awesome. I love when you put this together, and I'm sharing this again. I know we had this slide last month, but I just am a big fan of it and would love to see every door create something like this, because when it goes to that accountability and it goes to that performance, if you created this every single week, your reps can see where they're growing or where they're falling short, and you can include that into that weekly conversation.
It's also good for performance reviews when those come around. You have hard proof of, hey, this rep did this many upgrades with this many ports, and this is what we asked for. So kind of gives you that backup.
Absolutely, 100%. Yep, you got it in writing. That's what makes it easy. That's the importance of documentation. Everything's documented. Here's where we started. Here's where we went through the month. Here's where we finished. And it goes to kind of the next slide, creating that cadence of accountability. So having that rhythm of regular and frequent team meetings that focus on those wildly important goals for your stores, and make sure your reps are accountable for their performance. So as DMs, we want to make sure you guys have this regularly and frequently. Make sure it's planned. It's on their calendar. You want to keep it brief, so 30 minutes top. I try to keep these calls at 30 minutes because I know everyone's busy. But we make sure they're accountable for the commitments of the prior weeks, and make sure you guys have that cadence of accountability. I'm going to click over to store visits, but I do want to go focus on brand. So I touched on this earlier, but again, price tags are our silent sales reps. If your tags aren't correct, this should bother you as a DM. When you think about it, if your stores are busy, or you're in a store that maybe has one rep working, you got 5 people in your stores. If your customer goes in and they see a phone that's not priced right, and you're busy and you're not giving them that attention, they're going to leave and go somewhere else. Oh, I saw this cheaper online, or I saw this cheaper, at this other store. Those stores, the price tags need to be correct. As DMs, you guys are responsible for making sure your store is merchandised correctly. The buck stops with you. So streamline the process. My advice is to require reps to take a picture of their store merchandise correctly prior to each new launch. So let's say today's the 19th. Let's just say we had a promotion launching on the 20th. I would say you need to stay 15 minutes late on the 19th, the day before the launch, because your pack out's in your store. After you close, put all your new merchandising up for tomorrow. Take a picture of it and send it to me before you leave that door. You cannot leave until your merchandising is up and correct. But if you make that an expectation for your doors, you should never have to worry about your branding. And not get the excuse that I hear is, oh, I didn't work here yesterday. It was so-and-so, or, oh, I didn't know who worked here. Just make that a fact for your business. Day before a promo starts, that night before, you're expected to stay 15 minutes late to put up all your merchandising. Send me your picture when you're complete. If you have a slow last 20 minutes, you can put it up before you don't have to stay late. That's fine. But make sure it is up prior to your launch. The Amped merchandise is up there, so there's no excuse for a rep not knowing. Whether they have Android or iPhone, they download the Amped Merch app. They can go to the sales portal, click on go to the Amped Merch app, click on resources, and they can see that planogram for their current store for each launch. Owning the mile real quick, make sure, again, reminder, as it gets closer to summer, we want to be back outside your doors. DCI, we're happy to help you with any event. So if you're brainstorming anything you guys want to do, thinking through what we got Mother's Day upcoming, we got Cinco de Mayo upcoming. If you want to do an event, reach out to us now. We can get with Edgar in marketing and help get you guys some extra swag to make those events really rock. Accountability and follow-up, track your commitments. So if you guys are having those meetings with your reps, make sure you're setting those goals, you're giving the time frame, and you are making sure you're holding your reps accountable for those. Again, we already talked about the call meeting cadence. So let me just wrap up real quick. I know I'm a couple minutes over. So question. I was been talking with Boost with one of our Rams, Jennifer, and she wanted to know if you guys would see value in a district manager boot camp. Something that's geared towards district managers where we go much more in depth into a single topic on different calls. So just wondering, would you guys see value in a district manager boot camp? And if so, are there any areas we're not touching on or that you would like more focus on?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I think we might have something in the comments here. Let me check 1 second. I don't know, Robert, if you can read the comments. Are you seeing anything in there in writing?
Yvonne just confirmed that she would love that opportunity as well.
Okay. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas of what you like to focus on, some stuff we didn't really have time to today is kind of getting into hiring, working with staffing, having no crabs in the bucket. So that there are definitely some other topics that we can dig more into, but that is good kind of feedback, and we will go from there with it. But I want to thank you guys so much for your time. I know I'm a couple minutes over. Any other questions before we wrap things up? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great week.